Hi, everyone. Dave Broughton along with Bill Wagner. Thanks for joining us for our first Navy Sports Chat as we get ready for the 2009 college football season. Navy football, the season opener, still a couple weeks away, and it's a big one, September 5th at Ohio State in the Horseshoe. So the Mids, as you might expect, dotting their I's and crossing their T's in their preseason camp because they've got a big one to start with. Bill, you've been out at camp pretty much every day as we enter Ken Niumatalolo's second season at Navy, coming off an 8-5 season, a loss to Wake Forest in the bowl game, but sixth straight Commander-in-Chief's trophy, sixth straight winning season. The Navy football program is in a good place right now. But tell us, here in the early going, as the Mids get ready for that Ohio State game, some quick observations, what you've seen out at practice, any injuries to be concerned about, anything jumping out at you, good or bad, for Navy football so far?
Well, the only real news to come out of camp so far is slot back Marcus Curry, who, based off of spring performance, a lot of people had high hopes that he might become the primary slot back, the most dangerous weapon among slot backs. He has missed all of camp so far. On media day, he came down with some sort of mysterious virus and had to be hospitalized. He was in the hospital for a week. He is out of the hospital now, but he's been unable to resume practice. I don't think he'll put the pads on until next week. So that's the only real injury or personnel issue that has come up so far. The big question for Navy is offense. I think they have a ton of people back on defense, proven performers at a lot of key spots. Nate Frazier, the nose guard. They have Jabari Tuani, who had a great freshman season at defensive end and has looked terrific in camp. Ross Pospisil, inside linebacker, was the leading tackler on the team last year. Wyatt Middleton, a very dynamic safety, who's another top tackler. So they have a lot of returning talent on defense. I don't think there's any concerns about the defense. In fact, I think this will be the best defense that Navy's had during this current run of success that they have enjoyed. The questions are on offense, where they have skill positions. Every skill position has to be filled. Their starting quarterback has departed, Kaipo Noah, Kayaku and Hare. They lost their key top fullback, Eric Katani. They lost their number one slot back, Shun White. And they lost their go-to receiver, Tyree Barnes. So those are all crucial skill positions that have to be replaced, and it's to be determined who will step up into those spots. Ricky Dobbs, as we all know, got considerable action last year as a result of injuries to Kaipo and to Jared Bryant, the backup. But he is still a first-year starter who's going to be, this is now on him to run the offense. He's just not filling in for a game or a couple quarters. Now he is the starter, and there's going to be a lot more pressure on his shoulders. Alexander Teach is a promising-looking fullback. He's not the typical fullback that Navy's had in terms of a big bruising guy like a Kyle Eckel or a Eric Katani or Adam Ballard. He's a different type, but he looks like he's got a lot of promise. And the slot backs are a real mix. I couldn't tell you right now who is the best slot back. There's about 5 or 6 guys who are vying for playing time, and they all look about the same to me. So they have some question marks on offense. That's probably the biggest thing this camp will determine is some of who will be starters at certain positions on the offense.
Well, let's do a quick Ricky Dobbs, and as you mentioned, there might be some questions on offense. One thing that could help alleviate some of those concerns is some dynamic play from the quarterback, which in the Navy offense, he's going to be involved. And the feeling is, just from based on Coach Niumatalolo's early comments on media day, is that, hey, this guy can throw the ball,
right,
probably better than any quarterback he's had, as he's been around for 12 years as an assistant, now the head coach. So is this Navy team, are we going to be seeing them putting the ball up a lot more than normal?
Well, I think they definitely have added some new wrinkles to the passing game, because that is a skill that Ricky possesses that previous quarterbacks have not. He's got a very strong, accurate arm. He looks very comfortable throwing the ball. Some of the previous Navy quarterbacks, when they had to pass, they passed, but they didn't exactly look comfortable doing so. This kid can throw it around. I don't think they're going to become Texas Tech and start passing 40 times a game, but I think it's going to be a larger element of the offense, and it'll take some pressure off of the running game a little bit. Now, Ricky has also proven that he is a strong, powerful runner. A lot of times last year when Ricky played, they did what they call midline option, which in a lot of ways, the quarterback ends up running between the tackles almost like a fullback. Now, the question is, can Ricky run the option that gives you that full dynamic of being able to read the defense and either hand to the fullback, keep it yourself as the quarterback, or pitch it? I mean, that triple option effect is what makes Navy Navy, but it takes a quarterback who's very adept at reading defenses, making the right decisions with the ball. That's something that Ricky needs to prove he can do, but we know he has two skills. He can throw the ball very effectively, and he is a powerful runner. He's very hard to tackle, and I think maybe early on you may see a lot of, in essence, Ricky Dobbs up the middle, Ricky Dobbs right and left. I think he's going to carry the ball quite a bit himself this year.
Okay, Bill, let's do a quick minute on Coach Niumatalolo as he enters his second season as head coach. He, of course, was a longtime assistant and then was named head coach after Paul Johnson, who enjoyed a very successful run here at Navy, took the job at Georgia Tech. Have you noticed anything different in Coach Niumat from the first season to the second, having that full season under his belt as the head coach?
Well, I did a story about this last week, and yes, I mean, I think naturally he has grown into the position. The longer you're the head coach, the more comfortable, confident you feel in that role. I think the biggest thing is that last year it was kind of still the program that Paul Johnson built, and Coach Niumatalolo was kind of stepping into his shoes. This year, it seems more like Coach Niumatalolo's program, and I guess just that separation factor that you have. Coach Johnson's been away now for a full year, and Coach Niumatalolo's been running the show, and I just sense that this is more his program. He said all along he didn't want to put his stamp. He had no desire to put his stamp on the program, but I think you do put your stamp on the program. You do things a little bit differently. He's a different person, as he said many times. He's not Paul Johnson. He does things his way. So, yeah, I definitely feel that he is more comfortable in the role of head coach, and people perceive this program to be more Coach Niumatalolo's program. I mean, they'll never forget Paul Johnson and his contributions, but I think he's been forgotten a little bit, or I don't want to use. He's, it's in the past.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that he's shown he can be a good head coach. He's done a lot of good things. I've been very impressed with the way he's run the program.
The transition is complete, I
yes,
guess you could say.
That is a good way to put it.
Okay, real quick on the schedule. Navy is, they
murderous.
They could be a better team than last year, but I mean, this schedule, seven teams that were in a bowl game. Eight.
Yeah.
And starting with Ohio State, and hopefully they won't get physically battered in that game. Then they'll return home their home opener September the 12th against Louisiana Tech,
which was in a bowl.
Other home games, Air Force is a home game in
Correct.
early October. Wake Forest is at home. Temple.
Right.
I think Western Kentucky, is that a home game?
Yes.
Okay. We'll talk about the schedule, and starting with Ohio State, I mean, we're not expecting a whole lot results-wise from that game, but what is Coach Niumatalolo? I mean, he's not shy about mentioning the fact that this is a brutal schedule.
Right. Well, he said on media day, this is the toughest schedule that he has seen in his 12 years at the Naval Academy, and it is. I mean, this is really, really tough, and I guess part of the problem with schedules is that they're made several years in advance, and you can't predict how a team is going to be. For instance, Western Kentucky's probably better than when Navy scheduled them. Louisiana Tech wasn't good at all a few years ago, and now they were in a bowl game last year. So that's not a gimme win. I think when Navy scheduled it, they probably figured Louisiana Tech at home, that's a game we should win. And then, some of these heavy hitters, I mean, Ohio State, Pittsburgh,
Right.
Rutgers, Wake Forest. I mean, these are powerhouse
Notre
programs. Always Notre Dame. These are powerhouse programs from major BCS conferences, and there's no way that Navy can be expected to be. They beat these teams. They have in the past. They've beaten Wake Forest. They've beaten Rutgers. But to ask them to do that year in year out is difficult. So when you take those games and then you add in Hawaii, they're traveling to Hawaii, a program that is perennially in a bowl, always a good program. You got the time difference. I mean, that's got to be advantage Hawaii out there. So, again, it is a difficult schedule. And like you said, Dave, they could be better and maybe not win as many games. It's going to be very difficult for Navy to get the 6 victories needed to make a bowl game.
Right. Well, that's an early look at the early part of training for the Navy football team, again, as they get ready for the September 5th opener at Ohio State. Bill and I will check in weekly as we get ready for that. And if you've been visiting hometown Annapolis, you've hopefully been reading Bill's blog on Navy football. He's got stuff in there every day, and the printed edition of the Capitol pretty much every day, and we'll be doing these chats. So this is the place to come for Navy football, and we'll check back with you next week.